I've gotten me a Rusty, but I'm not totally naked because naked with Kitty is just too weird. So this is another, I guess, not so naked truth because again I am wearing pants because I'm holding a wet kitty that I've just washed, and do rejoice because Rusty here has a home. He'll be going to his new home on Tuesday. Although I do have some kitties that are still looking for homes. So if you're interested in a cat and you live in Los Angeles, do drop me a line because, hey, every kitty should have a home. Now, we are talking today about crushes. We've talked about celebrity crushes on our Naked blogs, thanks to topics selected by the lovely Trisha Hirschberger. And my hair is really a mess, isn't it? Oh well. After bathing Kitty, he's just old enough for me to safely use defleeing chemical on. So after bathing him, I get to shower. But isn't it right, Kitty? Oh, you're just such a sweet kitty. Yes, you are. He hates bathing too. Out of all the cats so far, he's the first one to cry while being bathed. Out of all the 6 kittens I have. Anyway, so we talked about celebrity crushes. Now we're talking about your first crush, or rather my first crush. And you would think, being a man as large as myself, if I had a crush on someone, oh, would they get crushed. But no. Okay. My first crush was a girl by the name of Crystal, I think. It was a long time ago, and I never mentioned it to anyone until I was in high school. So 6 years later? 10 years later, I was out of high school, or a senior. Was in a car with my best friend at the time. First time I mentioned it. So yeah. Yeah, look. Here's the thing. When I was in high school, people compared me to Holden Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye. That I was a man, so emotionally damaged. And then, he's a Rusty. And then when the Unabomber was finally captured, people said he sounded like me, that he was much of a loner and never took interest in women. So, yeah, never been big on the whole crush thing. And to this day, it's like her name was either Crystal or Angel. It was an O sound, I guess. And I never mentioned it to her, never mentioned it to anyone else. She was a foster kid, so she didn't stay in our school very long, so on and so forth. I don't think I ever knew her last name. So that's kind of the thing. Now, like I say, with me, when I was young, my parents did a lot of fighting, so I was a very nervous kid. And after my mother passed away, I spent what little time I had parentally supervised with my father, who was an utter pervert. And his attitude toward women really scarred me. It was very unpleasant. As a 10-year-old, I didn't want to hear about how great my mother was in bed, especially since I had just attended her funeral. So, there was that. This collar is way too big for this kitty. In any case, yeah, so I can't say much about my first crush. I can say probably the biggest crush in my life I had with one of my professors in college, who was a woman named Sarah, and she was really intelligent, and I find intelligence extremely sexy. She wasn't all that attractive, I would say. In fact, I would say she was kind of on the skinny side and should have gained a little weight. In fact, I think she had an obsession with her weight. She was always trying to lose it. Yeah. So, you're a good cat, Rusty. So there's the thing. But she was married, so I never made a move. But yeah, I had kind of a thing for her. I'm not one of those people to get all messed up over a girl. It's just, excuse me for a moment. Nim and Gizmo decided they wanted to spend some time with their brother. And Nimbus is right outside making noise. Wonderful. Okay, like I was saying, I'm not one to get messed up over a girl. This is what I like to call an emotional investment. And you should never make an emotional investment in someone unless you actually know them. So, as a child, you wouldn't know that, and you would have your crush because you're operating primarily on instincts. And operating primarily on instincts, you do dumb things. So, there's that. Like I say, crushes are kind of a sad thing. You know, you're in love with someone, or you think you're in love with someone who doesn't necessarily know you're around. Here's life and relationships. You're going to have to deal with rejection. People think it's this big thing. They get with somebody, and I mean, I remember I had a friend who got with this girl he met on the internet. Never met her, changed his name on his handle on AOL, or on AIM to be me lover, because it was Melissa Lover, because he was in love with this girl named Melissa, who at the time I believe was underage, and he was like 19. And I guess they met maybe 5 or 6 times before they broke it off, and then he went out there and got with this other woman who was a sex maniac, was so large she made me look small, and, you know, wound up leaving him for 2 other men and 1 girl. Yeah. Relationships in your life, sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. You get with somebody and you shouldn't be like, oh my God, this is the... No, okay? Go in there and say, yes, I care about this person, and, you know, I'm going to continue caring about this person. And if you end the relationship, it doesn't necessarily mean you stop being friends or you stop caring about that person. It's one of those things. As you might recall, I believe it was in Stephen King's The Langoliers, where the guy's ex-wife died, and he was immediately put on a plane to go deal with his ex-wife's funeral or whatever it was. And that's why there was this pilot on this plane who wasn't flying the thing. So, yeah, you know, that's sort of the world we live in, is that just because you break up with somebody doesn't mean you don't still have feelings for them. And, you know, we kind of we put too much in our feelings for other people without knowing how things are going to be. You got to be with somebody through thick and thin, particularly thin, before you really find out who they are. And I mean, you know, like, wasn't it, who was it that cheated on Sandra Bullock? And it's like, I grant she's a lot older than me right now, but Sandra Bullock, really. You know, you find these really, really attractive women getting cheated on, and you're like, you've got money, you've got one of the most attractive women on earth, and now what the hell is the question? So yeah, people are stupid. Love may endure and it may not. It's like a fire, it needs the right fuel. Just remember that in life, that just because your fire's gone out doesn't mean you can't remember it as a great fire. Don't have crushes on people. If you have feelings for somebody, try to make them a part of your life. Not necessarily run up and say, hey, let's bang, or hey, let's get married, or hey, whatever, but make them a part of your life, which is how relationships start. I mean, it's like, you know, you go and you're going to date somebody, you need to find out whether they're going to be compatible with your friends. You need to find out who they are in various situations. So if you just meet somebody, the best thing to do, my watch beeped, is include them in your life and see if they reciprocate the feelings and see if you're compatible. Because just remember, you can love somebody without actually liking them. I'm Richard Neal, and I have a disturbed kitty to go attend to, so I'm going to get Rusty nice and dry here, and I'll see you all later. Oh, incidentally, if you do want to make your own naked blog on this topic, you can send it to Trisha Hirschberger via her collaboration section. And if you do, just remember that we are not naked to be sexual. We are naked to be honest and open, and that you should not show any of your naughty bits. And if you do show your naughty bits, only show them to me if you're legal. Okay? And female. And preferably hot. Because I'm into girls and want them to be legal. Right. Don't you even think about that, Rusty. You're too young. No.